Your eyes do not deceive you. This is in fact a Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle, rendered in 1080p Citra. I actually just saw Rogue One at the time that was recorded, so yeah. But pretty much I'm using Trick Room, as you can see. My opponent's got a Celestial that I can trap with my Magnezone. He's also got a Lele, which is kind of just annoying. He's also got two Mons weak to rocks in Pinsir Marowak, so I'm kind of expecting that Tapu Fini to have Defog. I noticed that my opponent doesn't have any sort of Stealth Rock user because this is pre-bank and not post-bank. So I'm going to go ahead and lead off with my Tapu Bulu because it actually is a pretty decent matchup against his team. I figured that most people try to taunt like the Trick Room users with their Tapu Finis. Well, not necessarily that, but Tapu Fini is known to carry taunt, so I figured that was a possibility. Leading off with Bulu might not have been a bad play. So I'm just going to switch out to my P2. It's carrying T-Bolt. I know that he has the Marowak in the back, and I didn't expect him to let me trap this right away. And turns out I was right. He does go into the Marowak, which is kind of important because it's kind of going to shape the rest of the game. Now, what I didn't know is that P2 actually outslows Marowak, regular Marowak. By that I mean like not speed hindering nature. So I would have had to like eat a what do you call it, Flare Blitz, and retaliate with a Shadow Ball. Something I would have been completely fine with doing because P2 is, well, I don't want to say it's like not useful at all, but that Marowak is a really potent threat, and just managing the P2 trade-off would have been really fantastic. So I'm just going to Shadow Ball as he does go into the Tapu Fini. He's going to go into the Celesteela after I got the Spin Death drop on the Tapu Fini. At that point in time, I'm pretty sure that drop did not matter because, what do you call it? Well, it does force him out. He doesn't go to Marowak anyway, so that means that the possibility of T-Bolt really crosses mine. So I'm actually going to go ahead and Trick Room up because I kind of want to start wearing away at his team. Not that this P2 is actually going to be doing like decent damage to his team while he's trying to scout the moveset, and I don't really lose too much from him actually scouting out my moves. So I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball here. It's very low risk, very high reward. Basically, if he goes Marowak, I 2-hit KO that. If he stays in Leech Seeds, fine, I can switch out. So that's pretty much what happens. We did see that T-Bolt did around like 35, so yeah, about 35, maybe 40. But point is, like, his Celestial would slowly go down at the cost of my P2 if that decided to happen. I'm just going to go to my Marowak because, like I said again, I do have the Magnezone in the back. He does have the Marowak in the back. So again, going into my own Marowak that has min speed is actually going to be my play of choice because I can just go for the Shadow Bone, get some nice damage on whatever switches in. If he decides to sacrifice the Marowak, great. Carping just got a whole lot more useful because it can set up Trick Room a little bit more reliably. So I'm just going to go for the Shadow Bone, like I said. In comes the Tapu Fini that actually dents it quite a bit. What do you call it? I'm not quite sure what to make of that damage. Just because, what do you call it, Fizz Def at level 50, I'm not sure how much that actually takes. I know that they also kind of like to run speed post-bank because of like Lander's T and all that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and go in my Bulu because I don't want to take any sort of Scald. I was actually going to go ahead and expect that by going for the Nature's Madness. He actually misses, which is unfortunate, but it didn't actually play into the outcome of the battle because, what do you call it, this Tapu Bulu does not actually take damage. Or I don't rely on it to take any sorts of like damage. So I'm going to go for the Wood Hammer, just play it safe because I know that he is aware of the Magnezone and I'm aware of the Marowak. And if he decided to go Marowak, that would have been completely fine because I'm pretty sure that thing gets 2-hit KO'd in grassy terrain. So I would have been completely fine with that. Again, I do have, what do you call it, the ability to switch into Magnezone. I'm gonna actually try it right now just in case because I figured that he's going to stay in this time. Actually decides to prove me wrong. by going into his pincer, and yeah, basically this game was taken pre-bank, but meaning that close combat is actually an illegal move choice on pincer at the time that the battle was taken, but I don't think it actually had an effect on the battle because, like, in my mind I was still predicting close combat slash earthquake because I wasn't expecting, or I wasn't sure which one would be more common because Aegis Slash had gotten banned. I don't know if Wi-Fi is a little bit slower to adapt because of the possibility of like breeding and stuff. So that's pretty much why I made that play. Speaking of like missaves and stuff like that, I actually don't have sturdy on my carbine, so that means that even if he had the earthquake, he would have just completely obliterated my team because I would not take it. But that's not the case. I actually end up taking the close combat, and I'm actually able to get my trigger melt, which is important because, like I said, I needed to revenge kill this thing. Now, because I'm not at 1 HP due to it, even if I had sturdy, basically I would have been at 1 HP. And because it's not the case, I can actually get my stealth rock up pretty comfortably because the odds of quick attack killing are very low. Not actually, like, I didn't actually calc that, but this is a carbink and quick attack is fairly weak. So I'm just going to set up my stealth rock and then switch out on that Celesteela as it decides to switch into me. I'm going to go back to my Marowak on the Heavy Slam. Trick Room is up, meaning that my Magnezone would actually be outsped by this thing, which is another reason I didn't want to go into it, because I'm not exactly like who's faster. I just know that my slow mons are going to benefit in general. So Marowak is actually going to be in here taking the Heavy Slam, and I'm actually going to go I'm actually going to go ahead and SD. I was actually anticipating some sort of switch out, but he decides to actually just go for the protect. I guess that's fine. Just stalled out a Trick Room turn. He's actually going to sacrifice the Celesteela, which is going to make things a lot easier. I don't exactly need a Magnezone at all anymore, so I can kind of just sacrifice it if need be. He's going to go right back out to the, or not right back out, I think that's the first time he sent it out, I'm not sure. But anyway, he's got the Chomp, and he's going to come in and revenge kill me with the Earthquake. That's what I'm thinking. Little to my knowledge about what these things carry, he's actually got the Jab. I was kind of expecting maybe like a Swords Dance into Inferno Overdrive, with the base move being Fire Fang, of course. But he actually just knocks me out with the Poison Jab. That kind of what do you call it? That kind of brought to my attention the potential of this being choice locked. Because why would you run like Poison EMZ when you can run Ground EMZ and probably do more damage in general? I'm pretty sure that what's it called? Tectonic Rage should do more anyway. But anyway, I am gonna use this opportunity to set up the Trick Room and just go right for the Thunderbolt on the Tapu Fini because, as we saw earlier, I'm carrying it. And I'm pretty sure that the Stealth Rock damage that Fini took switching in was actually very crucial in me getting this kill with Thunderbolt. I want to say that just because, like, he only got 6.25% from his leftovers recovery because which was pretty much negated due to the rocks, so he basically just took 6.25 and that's it. I'm pretty sure that that damage would have mattered. Anyway, I know that Marowak is probably not going to go down to Shadow Ball at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and make the Carbon play, knowing that I don't necessarily need it. If he's going to go for Flare Blitz, that's fine. There's pretty much like no reason for him not to do that. What do you call it? I guess maybe he could have decided not to show his ability because, what do you call it? If he takes recoil, then he's obviously not Rockhead. Although on that kind of team, he's probably rocking the Lightning Rod just because, what do you call it? Just because he probably needs it more for utility than wall breaking. So I'm actually going to go into my own Marowak to chase his out. He actually decides to sacrifice his. and goes down to the Shadow Bone. He's actually going to go back out to his Beanie, and I don't know what he was doing here. I guess he was trying to stall out Trick Room turns, possibly, because he's going to go from his Tapu Lele to his Garchomp. I guess the same would have happened if he had just gone to Garchomp. Maybe he was trying to get that in about Flare Blitz or something. But I mean, it would have been about the same because Garchomp was taking Shadow Bone no matter what. So I'm not quite sure what that was about. Trick Room is basically ended, so I'm pretty much just going to sacrifice my Magnezone. I think he predicted that by going into Pinsir. Yeah, I think so, because he would be able to knock me out or prevent me from setting up Trick Room with the P2. Although he'd have to go for like +2 quick attack. Like, the thing is that he wouldn't be able to like attack me. Like, he would have to make the choice of going for frustration or close combat, follow it up with a quick attack, or boost up and just hit me with +2 quick attack. I'm not quite sure which one he would have opted for, but I'm actually going to live the close combat because he didn't get Stealth Rock up. That's about a 68%. No, but yeah, about a 68% chance for him to actually knock me out, which is about the same odds as hitting a Focus Blast, and we kind of know how that works out in Pokemon. So I'm just going to go back out to my Porygon 2 in hopes of living what I was expecting to be Specs Psychic. At this point, I'm just like assuming, like, worst comes to worst, it's probably Specs, because that jump was Scarf, meaning that it kind of opens up a door for Lele to run like Specs if it chooses to. It's also really nice for wall breaking, Specs Lele anyway. So yeah, anyway, I do live the Psychic. I set up a Trick Room, and I'm actually going to go for the Shadow Ball. The Tapu Lele does get crit, but it didn't matter in terms of the outcome of the game. All it did was prevent the score from being lowered to a 1-0 instead of a 2-0. And like, because pretty much Marowak would have just taken both of them down with Shadow Bone. So yeah, that was pretty much the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope to do a little bit more Wi-Fi before Pokebank comes out, just because there's some cool mons that like kind of lose viability. They're like not as good in Postbank, I've seen. So it'd be kind of cool to like play, and also since like Pokegen is like out for Sun and Moon, I figure I might as well do it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. So it's kind of been nice to commentate again.